All right, shalom. Most High Christ bless, brothers and sisters. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to TTIC family. Happy New Year. Give me a second. And shalom, Most High Christ bless. Let's give us a couple of seconds, brothers and sisters. Shalom, Most High Christ bless. Shalom, Most High Christ bless. Let's do this again. Shalom, Most High Christ bless, brothers and sisters. I'm Officer George with TTIC, and we're going to get started with our new moon class today. So this new moon class actually is leading us into the new year, even though it's a new moon. But we're going to treat all our feast days the way we're supposed to treat them and the way the Most High instructs us. Let's go to, I'm going to go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 first. In the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verses 1 and 2. It says, "Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts." I'm going to drop down to verse 4. It says, "These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons." So our feast days, just like the new moon, we proclaim them in their seasons. There's a particular time that we have these feasts, we set them up, and we join together as family. We come together in holy convocation or to celebrate God's feast. We'll go to the book of Exodus. In the book of Exodus, chapter 12. And I'm going to read, let's just start out in verse 1. I'm going to read down. It says, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 1. "And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months." The beginning of months. Keep that in mind, because we celebrate our new moons, because the new moons, we go into a new month. And we celebrate each and every new moon going into a new month. But this month it tells us this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So the first month of the year to us, this is our new year. This is going into our new year right before the Passover. Verse let's see, verse 3, it says, speak unto all the congregation of Israel. Now I'm going to leave that out right there. I didn't mean to go that far. But the point I was wanting to make was this is being the first month unto us being going into our new year. I'm going to Psalms 81. Being this, we're going to treat it as a new moon. And in Psalms 81, verse 3, it tells us that in the new moons, we are to blow up the trumpet in the new moon. It says, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed. Again, all our feast days, there's an appointed time that we are instructed, and we go by the new moons. The moons tell us when we are supposed to do particular things. When the moons, God gave us those ordinances for us to know even harvest time, or when it's time to plant. There's certain times and things that we can look in the sky. Our forefathers used those things, so they'll know what to do at particular times, even according to our feast days and when they're coming up. We would be able to look at the sky, we'd be able to look at the moon, the sun. So right here in Psalms 81, it tells us to blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed, on our solemn feast day. So when these times come around, we're to have a holy convocation, and to feast means we get together to eat food and to celebrate this particular time. In verse 4, it tells us, it says that, for this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. So the God of Jacob, knowing he had 12 sons, which is the 12 tribes of Israel. So these things were for us. God gave these things for us to do in their appointed times and in their seasons. Excuse me. In the book of, I'm going to move on to the book of, I'm going to the book of Psalms. I'm going to go to the book of Psalms, Psalm 78 and 5. Psalm 78 and 5, and it reads, it says, for he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers. Now, us following the laws, we also follow the feast days. The feast days are part of the laws that we had to follow. There was a law. It wasn't just a suggestion the Most High God gave us. These were laws. These were things that we had to do. Not something that the Most High gave us to do if we felt like it. So he says, which he appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children. And this is what part of what we do is in this modern time, we try to open the minds of our people. We try to teach our families and teach our sons and daughters the way it was even back in ancient times. So because nowadays we have this modernized world, a lot of our people don't know about their feast days. They're so enthralled and enthusiastic about the feast days that they learn from the people that oppressed us, the people that put us in captivity. And then about through assimilation, we learned their ways, their feast days. We learned what they call holidays. But God gave us feast days. And we were supposed to teach all these things to our children and throughout the generations. It says, I'm going to start again. It says, for he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generations to come might know them, even the children which should be born. So if we were doing things the way we're supposed to, we would be leading the way for the next generation of babies that's coming about. When these children grow up, they won't be strangers to the things that we do. It says, even to the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children. So that's what it means by going from generation to generation to generation. Because we were the people that God gave the law, statutes, commandments to, was the children of Israel. The book of Numbers, going into the book of Numbers chapter 10. The book of Numbers chapter 10, verse 10. It says, also in the day of your gladness. In the day of our gladness, this going into the day of our gladness is going into our feast days. It's going into these holy feast days that God gave us. It says, into the day of your gladness and in your solemn days and in the beginning of your months. The beginning of our months is the new moon, because every time we have a new moon, that's set up to where every time that new moon approaches, we get prepared for it. And what we do when we get prepared for it, we come together in a holy convocation and we have a feast. It says, in the beginning of your months, we shall blow with the trumpet over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial. These things we do is for a memorial. It's set up for us to remember. To remember. And again, we should be teaching our children these things, as it said in the Psalms. These things will be for us for a memorial before our God. It says, before your God. I am the Lord your God. So that concludes the readings that I have right off for the new moon scriptures. And from this point, I'm going to go on into the new moon class that I have set up. In the new moon class that I have set up, I have a title. It says, they that mistreated the children of Israel will be recompensed. They that mistreated the children of Israel will be recompensed. And to set the stage, I'm going to go to the book of Deuteronomy in chapter 28. I'm going to start out with verse 15. And it reads, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken, if thou wilt not listen to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now we know curses is not a good thing. And these curses came upon us because we did not hearken unto the voice of the Lord our God. We did contrary. So curses came upon us. And after so many curses came upon us, one of the things that God told Moses, he let him know, let us know in verse 68, in Deuteronomy 28:68, he told Moses to tell us this. He says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold to your enemies for bond men and bond women, and no man shall buy you. So with that curse being placed upon us, we were already in the area of Egypt, and we used to walk to Egypt. But this time we went to Egypt again on ships. Now this was going into cargo slave ships. Not going to get into the full history of that, but a lot of people do know that when you ask people in general, how did black people get over here on this side of the world? A lot of people do have a general notion that we got over here on ships. So we know that the children of Israel, by not hearkening to the voice of the Lord our God, he placed the curses upon us, and he caused us to come on this side of the side of the world. He sent a particular people against us. I'm going to get that in Deuteronomy 28. And I'm going to start at 45. And it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. Now, we wouldn't destroy many of us physically more so than what we were mentally. We were destroyed mentally in order for a nation of people that was weaker than us to be even able to overcome us and overtake us. So these people, again, these curses, it says, shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. These curses will be upon our children forever, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. We always wanted to go contrary. Now, once we got on them slave ships, and once we was transported, like they transported us on those slave ships because we were cargo, like you would do any other cargo, whether it was sugar or anything else, animals, and they treated us like animals because they packed us in the bottoms of those cargo ships, like as merchant, because we were merchandise. We were merchandise to the people that did us that way. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk. Going to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2. Let's see if I can get there. I was getting there easier early today, but now I'm gonna have a the pages just ain't coming out at me. The book of Habakkuk. I had to cheat a little bit. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 12. And it says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. Now, it says, woe to him, so it's talking about not just one singular person. This is talking about a people. A lot of times when people read the Bible and they'll read a verse like this, their mind will be stuck on maybe an individual person. But back at the prophet, he's saying, woe, destruction or death to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. So when the children of Israel got off those slave ships and we were sold to our enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, there was something going on during that time that they was using these people for. And they was using these people to establish these towns, these cities, these places where Habakkuk is talking about. They used these people to establish these towns by blood, and establishing these cities by iniquity through sin. Because what had happened to, just like when you watch Roots or any movie that deals with slaves, you could watch and you see what these people did to force us into rigorous labor. They used bull whips. They used all kind of torture devices. They did a lot of evil and mean things. And we do also know through history, even when our brothers got over here off the cargo slave ships, a lot of people know that there were people over here. Well, yes, they were. The people that were already here are the people who we know is to be the northern kingdom of our brothers and sisters. The northern kingdom of our brothers and sisters. So they were already going through a lot of the atrocities, a lot of the, what you want to say, the hard bondage, because those people were tricked. Those people were tricked. And by them becoming tricked, they were tricked on getting on the ships that was transporting us over here. And they would get on the ships to be transported back across the seas to the nations of people that had already subjected us into captivity. I'm going to move to the book of Nahum. Then the book of Nahum, chapter 3 and verse 1, he states also, he says, woe, destruction. When you see that word, woe, destruction or death, to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. So again, when you read this, it says to this bloody city. What is this bloody city that these prophets are talking about? It's kind of their thought is parallel the same about this particular place. And this particular place that they're speaking of is what we call North America. Cut through the chase, not to make it so long and drawn out. You keep cut the guesswork down. But these prophets, they're seeing the same thing happening to their brothers and sisters. And they're being put in positions to where this bloody city that they're being transported to, they're forced to work rigorous jobs, labor in fields, doing a lot of things to build this place. It says, woe to the bloody city. They call it the bloody city because this place of America was built on the backs of the blood, sweat, and tears of a particular people. It is full of lies and robbery. Those same people that it was in them to lie. They rape, rob, pillage anywhere they went. That's what they did to the people. And it speaks of the prey departeth not. The prey, what is a prey? A prey is like a weak animal that's put out right in front of some vicious animals. Say you put a little lamb or something out there right in the forefront, right around, you got 10 or 12 big old lions. But that little lamb is going to be prey. That little lamb is going to be food eventually. Let's go to the book of, and it says, the prey departeth not. The prey departeth not. Well, when we got over here, when our forefathers, foremothers, when a lot of our people came out from cargo slave ships, they never left. If they had left, if it was that easy to leave and things happened contrary to what some people want to try to make up to be, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be right here sitting there today if it was that easy to escape that or to leave or do anything different. But we wasn't able to leave. We wasn't able to escape. So therefore, generations of people are still here in this very land. And we were held by a particular people. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33, it tells us, as thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. So we were put in captivity together. It says that all that took them captive, the same people that put us on those cargo slave ships, transported us back and forth. And not only to the Americas, to the islands. We have right below North America, we have a stretch of islands, what they call the Bahamas, and you got Bermuda, and then you go even further south, you have South Americas, You have those regions also that those slave ships sailed. So a lot of our people were transported in various places from one end of the earth into the other. And it says all that took them captives held them fast. So when we was talking about what I was speaking of there in Nahum, was that about the prey, we couldn't get away from these people. And these people held us fast. They refused to let us go. That's in Jeremiah 50, chapter 50, verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. And all that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. I'm going to go back to Nahum. Back to Nahum. And I'm going to go to let's see. Back to Nahum chapter 3 and verse 4. It says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot. Now, this well-favored harlot is talking about a place. It's talking about a place. And it was talking about this place was the same place that our forefathers, that those slave cargo ships transported our forefathers to. This place what we call now America. When those cargo slave ships took us, and when we hit those banks into this new world, and we were put on slave auction blocks, and we was auctioned off to various people and transported to and fro in order to build these bloody cities. In order to build these bloody cities that Nahum was talking about. The same place is because it says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of this well-favored harlot, this same place, the mistress of witchcraft that selleth nations. So that place was selling us. That same place is speaking of right here was the place that was selling us back and forth to other nations. Because a lot of different people had their hands in this thing. And it says that selleth, it says the mistress of witchcraft that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcraft. So this same place is talking about this place right here where we at in Americas. In the book of Revelations, just to touch and make a point, not going real deep in it, but in the book of Revelations, chapter 18, it tells us, and I'm going to go to start at verse 2. It says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunken of the wine of her wrath, of her fornications, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. It's talking about this same place where we came over here, we were sold, we were traded, we were forced to do a lot of work. And a lot of people grew rich off our labors and the things that we did. The work that we had to put forth for this other people, this other nation of people. So when you compare the two, you look at it and you say, this has got a correlation. When you get to verse 4, yes, it says, John that wrote the Bible, John the Revelator, as we know, he says, I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Well, this is for a later time. So when the children of Israel start waking up, we will start finding out who these people are. So God is calling us out, trying to call us out of this place, out of getting away from agreeing with this place's policies and their customs and all these things. Because it says, for verse 5, it says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. God has remembered the sins of this place. The sins of this place, the people that call themselves colonizing this new world, that use God's people to do so, and they committed all kind of atrocities and sins against us in order to get a job done specifically for their own good. We were merchandise. That's all we were to these people. We're going to go on to even identify more who these people were in the book of Malachi. In the book of Malachi, we want to start placing an identity to these people that treated us horrifically through time to build their colonies here in what's called America. In the book of Malachi, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, well, maybe I just started, see here. Yeah, I'm going to read the book of Malachi, chapter 1, start at 1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. But thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. So right here, God is showing us who this particular people that's going to be identified as the border of wickedness. The wicked. These same people that is speaking of here are the people that put our people, our forefathers and foremothers, on those slave ships, on those cargo slave ships. The same people. But God says when they try to build, he's going to throw down anything they try to build up, he's going to throw it down in time. And he says, but I will throw down and shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. So these particular people, they don't even, they're so proud that they don't even care about what the Most High God is planning on doing to them. They don't really think that the Most High God is going to do anything to them, because they've gotten away with committing these atrocities so long, they think God has actually forgotten about them. I'm going to go into it speaks of Edom. Speaking of Edom, here in Malachi, in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, I'm going to go to page, in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, I'm going to go to page 156 first. In the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Page 156. Now, page 156, it has a particular name down here that is going to describe a little bit. And this person's name is Esau. Now, Esau, you can read about him in Genesis, chapter 25, verse 21, and on down. It speaks of Esau. And it says Esau right here, he was the firstborn of twin brothers. Same thing that Genesis would tell you. Chapter 25, verse 24. He says he was the firstborn of twin brothers, Esau and Jacob, sons of Isaac and Rebekah. He sold his birthright for a mess of pottage to his brother. And let's see here. I'll just keep reading. And it says, well, it goes on in saying who he married and so forth. And he sought to kill Jacob for tricking him out of Isaac's blessing, which we know if you read, that's an untruth, because Esau willingly gave up his birthright. Isaac did not trick him. And so we know that Esau was one of the brothers. The scripture sometimes uses Esau as the name of the land of Edom in which his descendants lived. But Esau, I'm just bringing this point out, that Esau is Edom. And I'm going to go to the book, staying in the book of, in the Design of a Compact Dictionary, I'm going to go to page 141 to make another distinction as to what even Esau looked like. And this is Edom. We're going to look at the word Edom or Edomites. It's a nation. It says the nation and its people who were the descendants of Esau. And it says here that he founded the country, so his name is equated to Edom, the country which also called Seir, which the name of the territory in which the Edomites lived. And I'm looking for, I got some of this stuff highlighted, but the next distinction that I was wanting to make. Let's see here. Oh, okay, that was right in the beginning. It spoke of Edom and the Edomites. And these words, Edom, Edomite, means red. That's what I was looking for. It was right on top. But the issue is, the thing is, the Edomites today, we have learned to call these people white people. But these people are not white. God did, even when you read Genesis, it doesn't speak of them being white. It said that Esau, when he was born, he came out red all over like a hairy garment. So these people, Esau was the father of these particular people. They had no melanin in their skin. So in today's terms, we've learned to call them people white, but they're actually red. In the South, we call these people rednecks because when they get cold, when they get angry, certain environmental changes, they get red. So that's how we know who Malachi is speaking of, talking about Edom right here. When we go to the book of Obadiah real quick. In the book of Obadiah, it says the vision of Obadiah, thus, I'm going to start at Obadiah verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus said the Lord concerning Edom. There's the same people that we're talking about right here. Speaking of Edom, these are the same people that had their hand in bringing us across those waters in those slave ships, those cargo slave ships. A number of nations. You had Spain, you had Rome, you had France and Britain and England and all those European nations. They have the same father, and that's Esau. They're all noted as being Edomites. So here in the book of Obadiah, it says, thus saith the Lord concerning Edom. It's not talking about just one man, it's talking about a people, a nation of people. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and then an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us arise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. He says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. These people have so much pride, even today. Their pride deceives them. Even though God did bless them through Abraham, not Abraham, but through Isaac. He told Esau that he was going to have the might of like military might. He was going to be the one that had the strength in learning and knowing war tactics. and those kind of things, because he was already a man of the field. He liked to hunt. He liked to go out and hunt animals. So that carried over into the strength in hunting man. So today, the United States, look who runs the United States. The Edomites. They have powerful navies. They have powerful military mights. They have powerful law enforcements in every city. They have the guns. They have they have the knowledge of warfare. That's how we are able to characterize these people as who they are. But their pride, God said right here that the pride of thine heart has deceived thee. Doubt that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rock. Again, a characteristic, these same people were the people that dwelt in Mount Seir. Over a period of time, we had ran them off into the Caucasus Mountains. So they dwelt in the cliffs of the rocks. That's why when they came out, over a period of time, they called themselves Caucasians. They were known as Caucasians. And it says, whose habitation is high. When they lived in those mountainous regions, their habitations was way up, high in the mountains. That saith in his heart, this is showing you the pride in the pride they have. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Even to this day, when you listen to the news, when you look at the presidents, when you look at these people, even right now today, they are prideful. They just know that there's nobody on this planet that can beat them, they can touch them. Verse 4 says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. All these people through history have always used the eagle as a powerful emblem that designated their strength. Because an eagle is a bird of prey, a very powerful bird. So these same people, whether it was Spain, whether it was Russia or Germany, Rome, they always had that big bird somewhere perched up somewhere, carved somewhere, showing their power. So that's how we'd be able to designate and use characteristics of knowing who these people are. Even though they call themselves by different names, they still had the same father, Esau. They were still Edomites. The saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, and though thy set thy nest among the stars. Who sets their nest amongst the stars? See, I'm giving out characteristics of these same people that the title, don't get too far away from the title, because it says they that mistreated the children of Israel. They got a recompense coming. God's going to pay these people back. That's the whole premise of this thing. But you got to know who we're talking about. These same people, they're building space stations. They're talking about building habitations on the moon. They want to go up there and build these habitations on the moon where man can go up there and stay. They go to Mars, build habitations on Mars, these various planets. And they've been experimenting and doing things, putting together things for as long as I've been in the world. So they're trying to make these things happen. So the Bible right here is already prophesied thousands of years ago about these particular people. And it says, though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, and the Most High says, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So now we got a generalization of the characteristics of these same people. In Isaiah 14, try to speed it up a little bit, but Isaiah 14 and chapter 14, verse 13, again, it's saying the same thing. It'll say, for thou hast said in thine heart, leaning back towards this certain people's pride that they have. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. These people today, what do? Same thing. They want to be God. They're trying to play God. They think they're more powerful than God. And a lot of people look at them as being God because of the technologies. He said, well, thou hast said in thine heart, that's their pride, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. He is already spoken of that Mount of the Congregation is talking about the children of Israel. When they brought us over here on them slave ships, and they subjected us to, put us into captivity, and made us become slaves for them in the sides of the north. That's talking about North America. Talking about in the sides of the north. I will sit also upon the Mount of the Congregation. They sit upon us. You know how black men used to always. Well, I remember coming up, we'd always say talk about the white man always keep the brother down. You know, keep their thumb on you. You know, keep their foot on your chest, keeping you down. So that's kind of saying the same. They would sit also upon the Mount of the Congregation in the side of the north. So that's giving you an idea of where they're talking about North America, right here where we are today. He says, I will ascend above the heights of the cloud, and I will be like the Most High. So this same people, they're so prideful, they're saying it out their own mouth. They're going to be like God. And there's a lot of stupid people out there in this world today that they look at those people as if they are God, believe it or not. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, book of Jeremiah, chapter 49. Narrowing it on down, brothers and sisters, closing into the end of this. I hope everybody's getting something out of it. But the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, I'm going to start at verse 15. It says, for lo, I will make thee small among the heathen. Saying the same thing that was spoken of in Obadiah. He says, thy terribleness have deceived thee. So again, it's saying the same thing about their pride. They think because they're so vicious and so that they on top of everything, nobody's going to be able to defeat them. He says, thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, and thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rocks, saying the same thing, that holdest the height of the hills. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I shall bring thee down. So God is letting them know, you don't care how high you think you're getting, how tough or bad you think you're going to be, because they show technologies all the time about these jets and the stuff, the armament that they got. They really think they got it going on. I mean, I had to give them a little credit, but at the same time, God letting them know, I don't care what you got. When time comes, Most High God going to destroy all that. He said, I will bring thee down from thence, said the Lord. Also, Edom shall be a desolation. So these people that are so prideful, that think they cannot be whipped, Most High is going to cause them to become a desolation. Everyone that goeth by shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. He says, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah. If people remember reading the event that happened about Sodom and Gomorrah, how God overthrew that region, and how it ain't nothing, it's nothing. So God's giving the description of how what he's gonna do to these people. And it's probably to America, the way America is going to look at the end of it all. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and in the neighboring cities thereof, saith the Lord, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. So when Most High get done tearing this place up, it won't be habitable for nothing. It'll be a wasteland. I'm going back real quick to Obadiah. Pick up something there in Obadiah real quick. Obadiah, I'm going to go down to verse. No, I'm sorry. In Psalms 83, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel of Psalm 83. But our Psalm 83 tells us, if anybody is familiar with it, how these particular people came together in crafty counsel against God's people. to cause God's people to forget who they are, and that they did so in such a way that where there wouldn't be any remembrance of Israel anymore. And these particular people were enemies of God. And Psalms 83, right at verse 6, it tells you who these enemies are. And it speaks of the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites and the Moabites, the top three enemies of God. Edom being the white folks as we know it, Moab being the Chinese and the Hagarenes. These are African nations. And it gives some more nations down here also that are enemies of God. So these people are the same people that put God's children into slavery. We were in slavery even over there around Saudi Arabia. The Ishmaelites had us in slavery and captivity. They was trading us back and forth with certain African groups of people. They had it going on, using us for laborers' task. They did that to us. Those are the same people that mistreated us. God ain't forgot that thing. God has not forgot it. In Ezekiel, let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel speaks of it. It's not forgotten. Ezekiel chapter 35 in verse 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Now God right here, he's actually, I'm going to go back up to the top and show you who God is talking to. Because God was told Ezekiel, he says, son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Mount Seir is talking about the Edomites. It's talking about Esau, because those people dwelt in that region. They dwelt in that region before they dwelt in the Caucasus Mountains. So now, to show you who the people were that God's talking about, he's letting us know in verse 5, Ezekiel 35 and 5, he says, because thou has had a perpetual hatred. A perpetual, that's an ongoing hatred that never stops, something that's perpetual. So don't get caught up into thinking because these folks smile in your face today and give you a job that they cool with you. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. There was a time when these people, God had eased up on us, so to speak. But these people kept pouring on the coal. There was a time, during that time, I think it was 1865, during the Emancipation Proclamation and such. These people did not want to ease up on us. They kept tightening the rope, even unto this day. These same people, they refused, just like in Jeremiah said, these people, we went into captivity and they refused to let us go. As long as they know that they can use us some kind of way for their benefit, they don't want to let us go. So verse 6, in Ezekiel 35, verse 6, it says, therefore, as I live, said the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So God is saying he got something for them. He got something for these people. He's got something for these people. They think because they're going on and on and on through time and through history. And they, these people make a mockery of us for real. It's like, where is your God? Where is your God? How come he ain't helping y'all? But see, it's all, it's being bottled up. God is sacking it up. Because when that day comes, boy, they're going to be in for a big surprise. Isaiah 14 and verse 21. It tells us right here, prepare slaughter for his children. Whose children? The children of the people. Because see, we can talk on the streets and bring things out. And even the Caucasian folks, I'm being nice right now, Caucasian people, the white folks, the Edomites, if they want to get into the conversation, they'll say, well, it wasn't us that did it. It wasn't us that did this and that and another one. You know, we know about the slavery and such, but it wasn't me. But God said right here, prepare slaughter for his children. Because we had to pay for the sins of our forefathers. So what's wrong with them paying for the sins of their forefathers? That's what makes God a just God. That's what makes God a just God. If he did his own children and correcting them and punishing them, if he did us in a certain way, then those other nations got it coming too. He said, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquities of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. So those people, when God's done with them, they've had their fun. They've had their fun. They're in their heaven right now. So they might as well just keep on living it up until their destruction comes. And this will be my last precept. The book of Isaiah, chapter 55. This just put the icing on the cake. Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 11. Because people don't think the word of God stands. People think God is fronting and faking and just like God talks, you know, what we used to say years ago, out the side of your neck or something. But in the book of Isaiah chapter 55 verse 11, it says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. And it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. So we can best believe that the Most High God is going to do what he said he's going to do. All we have to do, brothers and sisters, is stay in these laws, statutes, and commandments and keep ourselves in the right place. And then as time go on, watch the Most High do his thing. When Christ comes, we're gonna see something. The whole world is gonna see something. With that, I'm Officer George with TTIC, and like I said, I hope everybody's got something from it. So with that, I say shalom.